Okay guys, welcome to part 6. This is going to be the fans and follow-up. I'm sorry, but I've already put together all the parts I already have into the case and already put the fans in, but I will go over the fans that were chosen and why. As I mentioned in the previous videos, I already got fans. They were donated from my brother. I had a lot of the NF S12A PWM fans. These are 120mm fans. And I had a lot of the NF A14 PWM fans. These are the 140mm fans. So let's start with the NF S12A. This is a 120mm premium fan. My brother bought these a few years back on Newegg. They were all about $20-some each. So they're expensive fans. And it's a good thing my brother bought them back then, because there's a big scandal out now with Noctua fans where nowadays they're making the Noctua fans in China, and originally they were making them in Taiwan, which Taiwan is kind of like a second Japan. They're pretty high quality place, and there are a couple differences with the Taiwan Noctua fans compared to their Chinese counterparts in build quality. Minor differences that you'll be able to notice on the frame, the color, and etc. Anyway, let's go over this one. It's an anti-stall knobs, AAO frame, stepped inlet design, inner surface microstructures, custom design PWM IC with SCD, low noise adapter, extensive cabling options, SSO bearing, and it's PWM. Now, PWM basically means that it will run at 12 volts all the time, but to adjust RPMs, it's more like a signal that is sent from the motherboard. Now I have talked to Noctua, and you can run these on voltage control headers. So instead of using PWM, that basically adjusts the voltage. Instead 12 volts, 9 volts, 7 volts, etc. Because a lot of motherboards use voltage control. And they said that you can do voltage control and it will adjust the RPMs, but only down to 7 volts. So these PWM fans will only work down to 7 volts. On the side, it just shows the dimensions. And on the back, it just shows the different languages. And if you notice on the side here, NF S12A PWM max rotational speed is 1200. That's without adapter. And with the low noise adapter, it will be 900 RPM. Max airflow is 107.5, and that is M3 to the H, which I don't know what the hell that is. Your max acoustic noise is 17.8 decibels. And if you notice right here, you have a 6-year warranty. And if you notice on mine do say made in Taiwan. All of mine say made in Taiwan, so I do have the superior Noctuas. And of course, it also shows you everything that comes in the package. We got our fan, our low noise adapter, our Y cable, which will allow you to connect 2 fans to 1 header, extension cable, in case the included cable is not long enough, they have an extension cable, anti-vibration mounts, and fan screws. And if you notice, if we open this up on the inside, and of course the fan's already out, so you're not going to see the fan anymore. But right here you get a beautiful documentation here. Noctua's S12 series impellers use of high angle of attack in order to achieve superior airflow. It just tells you how they've designed and engineered this fan for maximum airflow. And you can see how they have things on the fan blades, and really nice. I'm not going to go through and read all this. This also shows you all the included cables again. And on the back, there's also another thing that pops out, which shows you even more things. You got award-winning S12 design, anti-stall knobs, AAO flame, basically everything that it's told us before. And also you have your 6-year warranty, which These should last 6 years because these were the made in Taiwan ones. Now these things are a bitch to put back in once you open them, but I don't think I have everything in here because obviously I already installed the fans in the computer. But here is your Y cable, and what you do with this is you just plug this into the a header on your motherboard, and now you can connect two fans to one header. You also want to make sure to read your motherboard specification. Make sure you're not overdoing the wattage because you don't want to keep daisy chaining these Y connectors and have like 4 or 6 fans off of one header. I would just stick to 2 fans per header. And of course you have your quick installation guide, which cleaning and maintenance, they just tell you. They don't tell you how often to clean them, but that's all you get there, just your typical installation warranty information, stuff like that. You have your extension cable, which it's folded up, but it's decently long, and you have a low noise adapter, which I didn't use any of the low noise adapters. I did use a lot of these. I have 2 fans on each header, and I did use a lot of the extension cables as well. So I did utilize both of those. And of course you have your anti-stall mounts. I'm sorry if you can't see any of this. So there's that one. Now the NF S12As, I have 3 in the top, 1 on the bottom. So I implemented 4 of the NF S12A 120mm fans. Now for the NF A14 fans, which are also PWM and feature all the pure stuff, you know, you got your fan blades, tells you about all that, all your included accessories, you got same stuff, and of course 6-year warranty and made in Taiwan. All of them are made in Taiwan. And you just got all your feature sets again, you know, editor's choice, 6-year warranty, metal bearings, tells you about the bearings, the PWM IC that's being used, the AAO frame, all that goody stuff. And basically the cables are the same, and this one is too. They include all the same cables. So for the NF A14 140mm fans, I have I installed 2 of them in the front, and as you can see, there they are. And when you install these fans, you want to make sure you design your airflow correctly. So these fans will be intake fans. And whenever you have a fan that's sucking in air into the case, you want to have a dust filter with it. With exhaust fans that are spitting air out of the case, you don't need a dust filter. But for any intake fans, you want to have a dust filter. So obviously this has a dust filter. So here are these 2 fans, and the screws I used to install them were the ones that came with the motherboard. You had your default fan, you just take the screws out, set them aside, put the new fan in, and then for the bottom one, you take the screws out of that accessory box that came with the case. It'll have front fan screws, they're really long ones, and you'll be able to install your fans. When you install your fans, you want to make sure you know which way they blow. And here's a hint. It'll show you on the side of the fan, on the frame, it'll show you the direction and the rotation of the fan. Here's another hint. The sticker side is usually the direction that it blows. So obviously this isn't the sticker side. So both of these will be sucking air into the case, which is going to be good for the hard drives. So there's the 240mm NF A14 fans. They're PWM. I have these 2 fans hooked up to a PWM header, I believe CPU 2. I have them hooked up to the CPU 2 fan header. I used a Y extension to connect them both to the header. So there's the front fan. Now, let's turn this around. Let's get into the meat and potatoes here. Okay, so we're back, and now you can see what progress has been made on this build so far. The only thing that I've put in this is the stuff, all the parts that you've already seen. So all the parts that you've already seen video-wise is the stuff that I installed into the case. Now the reason why I went ahead and installed this off camera is because I didn't have time to film it, and we did have some complications. And I will tell you some tricks and tips and how to avoid these complications. But Anyway, let me discuss the fan layout. As I said, we have the two NFA14s connected in the front, and they're intake fans, so they're blowing air in past these hard drive cages. And so I have those connected to the CPU fan 2 header right here at the top. So it's going to be that one. Now I have another NFA14, which is another 140mm fan, in the back, and it is an exhaust fan. And as you see, the sticker is on this side, so it's blowing air out. And of course, there's no dust filter. This one and this top fan right here are both on the CPU fan 1 header. The reason why is because I'm not going to have a CPU fan on the heatsink. The heatsink is going to be a big metal block, and it should be able to passively cool the i3 that we're going to have in this system, because we're not really going to peg this i3. I mean, it's not going to see that much usage on a FreeNAS box. And when it does, this CPU or this heatsink should be able to keep it cool. Now, I don't have the heatsink yet, but the reason why I correlate these two, this exhaust fan right here, this back exhaust fan, and this back top case fan with the CPU fan 1 header is because that's the header that correlates with the CPU, okay? That's the header that correlates with the heatsink fan. So if the CPU gets hot, these two are right next to the fucking heatsink, and these things will be able to kick up and effectively cool the heatsink better because they're right next to the heatsink. So that's why I correlated these, both of these, with the CPU 1 fan header. So I have 140mm in the back, 2 in the front. This is an exhaust. The 2 in the front are intakes, and I have the 3 120mm NFS12As at the top here, and all these are exhausting out the top. Okay, so you guys are off the tripod now. Let me go ahead and show you up top here what we got going on. As you can see up top, they show the sticker side up. So they're all going to be exhausting. So all 3 of these are going to be exhausting air out the top here. Like I said, this one right here and this back fan right here, which is 140mm, these two are going to correlate with CPU fan 1, which will correlate with the big ass heatsink that's going to be right here. So, and these two I have on a sys fan header. These two are on a sys fan header, which is a voltage mode regulated. Both of the CPU fan headers are PWM. So these two are on a sys fan header. This bottom one is on another sys fan header. This bottom one is an intake, and obviously there's a dust filter underneath the case that slides out. So it'll be sucking air in. So that's my fan layout. So now you guys got a glimpse of how I laid out the fans. Now let me tell you what progress has been done and what complications we had. So the first thing I want to tell you about is installing the CPU. When I first installed the CPU, it was kind of scary, okay? Because you have to apply a lot of fucking tension on that bar. And I felt like I was almost breaking the CPU. And you started to hear like crackling noises and shit, like you're adding strain to the motherboard or the CPU. But apparently that is normal. So that's one thing. So don't be worried if you hear noises and shit when you're pushing down that lever for that CPU, because it is a bitch. Okay, so that was one complication. But I got the CPU in. Obviously, the gold arrow is on the bottom left. That's where you'll put that. Okay? Another thing is getting this motherboard in the case was a bitch because the I/O shield. This I/O shield in the back here, this I/O shield has freaking tabs that stick up everywhere. And I'm gonna overlay a picture right now of a different motherboard I/O shield because I couldn't get a picture of this one before I installed it. But I'll show you an example of what I mean. This thing had these nasty ass tabs, and I didn't notice that, and when I put the motherboard in, it was a bitch to put in. So before you put the motherboard in, what you should do is flatten all of them tabs down. And the ones that are for like the networking and the VGA and stuff like that, you want to bend those up. But the ones that you can bend flat, bend them flat. Now the reason why they have these tabs is for grounding purposes. It's to ground the motherboard with the case properly, and it's required. So don't just bend them all the way flat. Bend them flat good enough to where you can put the motherboard in to the case. And then once you have the motherboard installed, take like a needle nose pliers and bend those back so they're touching all these I/O ports. You know, all these things like the, you know, Ethernet jack, the VGA, USB ports, and etc. That way you can get your grounding back. So that was another complication, is these nasty ass tabs. And that really made it hard to put this motherboard in if you don't flatten those and bend them up and shit. Because if you just install it as is, it's next to impossible to do. Okay? It really is. So another complication was connecting the power to the motherboard. Okay, the 24-pin adapter, getting that connected was a bitch. It was almost like the thing was too big for the slot. And of course I had it right. You know, you make sure the tab and the click's on the right side, and you know, you make sure all the things match up, and you apply force. I installed the motherboard first before connecting anything. And let me tell you one thing about this 24-pin connector here, is it would go in, but it would only go in like 90% of the way. Like there was a little tiny gap, and the click wasn't clicking. And you have to get that click to click, or you're in trouble. So it took me a good hour to figure out how to get the damn thing in. And of course I was wiggling up and down, and of course I was, you know, trying to apply force, and of course I was holding the clip open. You know what I'm saying? Holding it open so it can easily go into the slot and click in. I was doing all those practices. Like, I'm not a dumbass, you know. I know what I'm doing, and yet it took a long time to get the damn thing in. So that was another thing. And I have another friend that's building the same system as me for his FreeNAS build, and he did say that the power connectors were a bitch too. And he has a different power supply, so it's the motherboard. So the motherboard, this motherboard has tight ass power connectors, or that's just normal. But how I got it in was you want to wiggle before you install this cable. Wiggle all the wires a little bit to like loosen them up a little tiny bit. Check all the pins of the cable and make sure none of them are bent inside, like the metal contacts. And then also when you're putting it in, wiggle it up and down like this, and then take a flathead screwdriver right up to this clip and like apply force in between the clip with the flathead screwdriver, and it should force it to click in there. So I was able to get that to click in. So that was another complication. Another thing is to note of is this USB 3.0 header for the case. It's fucking huge. So if you look at that, it applies lots of tension. You probably can't see that, but it's a huge ass cable. I connected up all the front panel I/O. Do not connect the reset switch. The reset switch I just done away with in the back, but everything else is connected up. You know, I'm sorry if the lighting is awful here. I might have to go get a flashlight or turn on flash. Okay, I'm back. I turned on flash. I'm sorry if this is kind of too much flash. But as you can see, I connected up all the front panel I/O. We got the power switch, the power LED, USB. We have the audio, which is garbage. This is for the bottom fan. This one up here, that CPU 2 header, CPU fan 2. That's for the front 2. This one is for the top 2 in the front. There's another one right here. This one is for the back fan and the back top fan. And then there's our 8-pin CPU power. So basically I installed the motherboard, I installed all the standoffs. Another thing is this thing right here, that is normal. Don't unscrew that from the case. That is normal. But I got all the standoffs in, got all the front panel connectors connected. Everything is good to go. CPU's installed. I connected up all the power. We got all our fans mounted and connected properly. And as I said about the power supply, you know, that's just how it's going to be. And I just tucked away this stuff for later. So another complication was also getting the CPU power in there. This was a bitch. Because I have these fans in the way, and plus they wouldn't like click in. And it took me a good hour to figure out how to get this all the way in. Because if you get up in there and look, you really have to get up in there and look to make sure they are all the way in and flush and clicked in. You'll hear the little click, but sometimes you won't. And my brother came up, and he was able to get them in instantly. Like, he says, oh, they go in a certain order. Like, I had them in the right direction and everything, the clips and everything. But these two things, they go in a specific order. And these they don't have slots or anything to connect it to make it one cable, one connector. They both basically look like the same thing. I mean, they don't have anything that slides to connect to one cable. So be cautious of these things because they're a bitch. And of course, if you look at it closely, it looks like one is, higher than the other. But no, that's just how it goes. It's really weird. But they're both clicked in. I also checked from the top end, and it was a bitch getting both those power connectors done. And man, I'm really kind of overexposing with the camera flash on. But yeah, this is basically the progress that's been done. I didn't do too much. Didn't take away too much from you guys. I just installed the motherboard, installed the fans, installed the power supply, and just connected everything up that I got so far. And of course, installed the CPU into the motherboard as well. In the future, we're gonna have our next thing we're gonna have is our heatsink and installation, and a couple of ZFS books that I recommend reading that we'll be getting. So let's take another look at this front again, just so you guys can see it. So there's the front. You got your two 140mm PWM fans. So you guys are probably like, okay, what kind of cable management do you got going on in this? So let's go ahead and take a look at the cable management I got going on here. So I'm going to need to turn this around. And this thing is hard to move without actually picking up. You know why? Because those rubber feet on the bottom really grip to my countertop. Oh, another thing, I also changed the position that the door opens. And all you do is you unscrew a couple things and you screw it to the other side. It's really self-explanatory how to do it. I hate this screwdriver. I fix it, crap. And this thing I can never get to come off right. It's like I'm doing it wrong. There we go. I gotta take my nails and push it that way. It's really weird. So here's the back end of this. And as you can tell, I done a lot of zip tying. I don't care what color the zip ties are. I ain't gonna see it. I don't really care. It's a server. But as you see, they already have Velcro straps from Fractal that puts them all together. But we have our fan cables up here going to the motherboard. And as you notice, what I do is I zip tie everything to be away from this back plane of the motherboard. I don't care. I don't like any wires going over the motherboard. So as you can see, this case has little grip thingies that you can put a zip tie under and you can tighten the wire to it. That way you can have that wire go around the frame. It's kind of cool how Fractal did that. But as you can see, I just cleaned up some of the stuff. It's not the best job. I just zip tied shit together and said to fuck with it. So that's the back. We got a lot of fan extension cables and stuff like that. So I'm gonna go get the Monoprice and the Cable Mod cables and put in this system for you. So let me go grab those. Okay. So I got the cables. First thing, let's go ahead and get this 4 SATA power connector from Cable Mod installed. Let's go ahead and do that. Like how How do you do that, Victor? Well, carefully. So, what I'll do is I'll plug this end right here. I don't know if you guys can see that because I can't see the camera. Into one of the peripheral ports. Peripheral / IDE / SATA on the power supply. And boom, it just clicks right in. That was easy. That was easy. And then I'll just feed it out through this bottom grommet or whatever the hell they call it. Boom. That was easy. And I'll go ahead and route them out the back here. And already I can see that they will definitely reach all the hard drives. I have a lot of room to spare. They'll definitely reach all the hard drives. So there's that. Let's go ahead and connect the 2 SATA connector now. Let's see if this one will make it. And looks like even this one might make it. Yep, that one clicks right in. I wish the other power connectors were that easy to snap right in. Of course, I'll route these around this fan. Don't want them to get inside the fan blade and shit, right? Of course, I'll have to zip tie them later. I need more zip ties, but the thing is I should have got my zip ties for Monoprice. You're looking at these ones. Yeah, even this short one will make it all the way to the top bays just fine. Now, this short one, this 2 SATA connector, it will not reach optical drives if you had optical drives. So you'd have to get a slightly longer cable from Cable Mod. But it will reach the top hard drive bay easily. Well, not easily, but it does reach. So let me go ahead and get these SATA connectors done. So how I'm going to do these SATA connectors is, obviously you're going to have the locking mechanism on the hard drive side. So I'm just going to feed these out through here. Whoop. And then connect them. I have shit in the way, don't I? Probably best to feed these from the back end first. Yeah, much easier to feed them from the back. And of course you gotta make sure that these are going in the right way. So I might have to go get my little flashlight out. Okay, I'm sorry I can't really show you this on camera because getting a camera in here is going to be next to impossible. What way is that going? Other way. And of course you want to start with the bottom connector first. Yep, that one went in. Just clicked right in. Wish they all were that easy. Don't we all, don't we? Sorry if you can't really see this. It's really hard to be able to show you. But you're just connecting up SATA connectors. It's really nothing. There we go. Got 2 connected so far. Maybe if I readjust it right there, you can see a tad bit better. Maybe? Probably not. I apologize about the lighting. I really do need to get big ass freaking lights. This freaking beam. It's like being right next to the sun, basically. That's what I need. Because this camera, it can't focus with any light at all. I mean, you gotta be next to the sun for this camera to see anything. It's kind of a joke. It is a joke. Come on, get through there. Kind of got a little bit of something in the way. So now, I'm going to try this one. These top ones. Ooh. I don't like that amount of tension. I wish I had something to put under it, like a book or something. There we go. Let me get my flashlight, make sure that clicked. Yeah, it clicked. It's in there. You definitely want to make sure these go in all the way and click. So just to verify they're fully in and flush. That's my recommendation. And I ain't going to do any zip tying, cable management stuff. Once again, these monoprice cables for the SATA data is product ID 8785. And they're 18 inches, which is more than enough. They'll fit. They'll fit all your bays. They'll even reach opticals just fine. So you don't need anything else with this case. They'll reach. They'll definitely reach. Oh, and of course this one does it the other fucking way. Come on, MSI. When you're pushing these top two in, it seems like it's putting a lot of tension on the board, but I suppose they make them good enough to be able to handle that kind of attention. What I need is red zip ties for these SATA connectors. The reason why I went with red instead of black is just they stand out, and when you're in the back behind here, you'll be able to easily see them when you're messing with hard drives and shit. I'll be able to depict, oh, the black wires are the power, the red ones are the data. Now, if I did have optical drives with this, which I don't because it's going to be a server, it's going to be a NAS, it's not going to need them. But if this was like my desktop build and I had optical drives, I would have the two optical drive ones be blue and all the hard drive ones be red. Because I'm cool like that, you know? So we just got two more to install. And I know you probably can't really see much. I don't have 15 cameras that I can have that have different camera angles and zoom right up in here and, gobs of the, let's see what way these are positioned, angle down. Now when you install these, you gotta make sure you look at the angle of both the cable and the connector before you start pushing it in there. Because if you don't, you'll have problems. That go in there? Looks like it went in there. I heard a click, so. And I'm just taking a flashlight in there to really look, because to make sure they're actually flush with the connector and look like they clicked in. When it's a lot lighter out, on another day when we have the heat sink and shit, I'll do another close-up of this so you guys can actually see what was done. But all I'm doing is just connecting SATA connectors to the board. That one's in. These both line up and they all seem to be clicked in. So now we seem to have 6 SATA connectors are all connected. And I tried not to strain the board with these top 2 up here. So all the SATA connectors and the bottom power have been initiated. And I'm sorry if you guys really couldn't see any of that. So I'm going to flip this to the back and I'm going to show you what the back pertains now. As you can see, we have a shit ton of wires now to work with. They're just all coming out at you. And as you see, these 18-inch easily will reach optical drives. These this short 2 SATA cable mod power connector, it will be able to reach top bays just fine. But it wouldn't be able to reach optical drives. See, it'd be too tight to reach optical drives. As for the 4 SATA power connector from Cable Mod, it'll easily reach everything. It'll even reach over in the other side of the case if I had them. So easily. So I have to get zip ties and clean these up because they're a freaking mess. And of course, I even think these are probably too long. Because look at all that extra I'm gonna have. And they are 26 AWG, which is the best that you can get for SATA data cables instead of power. For power, these are 18 AWG, which will be sufficient. I'm not sure what their other variant is, AWG wise, but yeah. So I'm just gonna like have these go through here or something without breaking them. Because if I don't have them go through here, we're gonna have problems getting this back panel back on. Like I said, I ain't gonna do cable management and shit until I have the hard drives, because really, there's no use zipping up shit until you actually have them all connected, right? That's the only time you should be zipping shit up, is once you have it all connected to stuff. Because, say I do cable management now, I get the drives, well, then I'll have to clip all the zip ties and redo it. So I'm just going to shove this stuff through here and pray that it's not in my way. I'm going to go ahead and put this back panel back on. The thing is that they do give you a lot of leeway. I should have installed these SATA cables underneath of this. I might be able to, yeah, I can probably unvelcro that and put these behind this cable. I don't know. That's really in there though. No, I think it's zip, yeah. I think I zip tied it down to the actual board or the case. But that would have made it better, is put these behind here. Yeah. That would have been a better design there, to do it that way. Or have this go this way. That way it's not in the, this isn't in the way of these. That's what I'll do. When I get more cable ties, I'll clip these off and I'll move this over to this side and have it go down this way. And that way it's not in the way of all the SATA connectors. And I can clean up the SATA connectors better. But it should be enough for now to be able to put the back panel back on, hopefully. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Because I went on and on. So you've seen the update. All I did was install the stuff that we already went over in the videos. So nothing new. You guys didn't really miss out on much. I told you all the complications and how I did shit. But yeah, when you put in the fans, you want to know what way they're blowing, and you want to implement the right solution for you. You don't want to have positive pressure or negative pressure or any of that crap. You really want to make sure you're getting sufficient intake and outtake or exhaust, which we are. You have the 2 in the front for intake and 1 in the back for exhaust. 1 on the bottom for intake and 3 at the top for exhaust. And this thing is heavy. Even though it doesn't have the drives and stuff in it, it is heavy. So there we go. You just see all the cables sticking out like that. I can just put them down like that or some shit. I don't know. You know, I don't want to bend them too much, because that's not a good thing to do with wires. You know, you don't want to break the individual strands of wire inside of them. But there you guys go. That's just been an update of what's been done so far. A follow-up I know I like to ramble on, but we got the fans installed, the motherboard installed, power supply, CPU, but we don't have the heatsink yet. We have the SATA data cables and the SATA power cables installed now. Now we just need the drives, the heatsink, and some RAM, and I think we'll be good to go. Then we can get on with the FreeNAS installation part, which will be fun. That'll be for that will be a while, because as I've mentioned in the comments to people, I am doing this as I get the parts. I'm not a rich millionaire. I can't afford everything up front. So every month I'll be putting a couple $100 into this project until it is complete. I expect it to be complete in around, I'd probably say April. It'll be fully complete. Maybe March. I'd like to get it done sooner. And I can't seem to figure out how the hell this goes on. Am I doing it wrong? There we go. This bottom isn't latched in though. Maybe I'm missing something. See, I'm having complications just getting a freaking side panel on. Maybe, is there a lip? Is there a lip I'm missing? I got it on before. I don't know what I'm doing wrong now. Could be something in the way. Is there anything in the way? Yeah, it could be that power connector in the way. There we go. This bottom is warping out. I don't know why. Huh. There we go. I got it. Just had to apply some pressure. So you guys got to see another complication, but I got the side panel on, and just gotta screw these thumb screws back in, and we'll see in the next part. The next video will be location, because that's a easy one I can knock out right away. Basically where I'm putting this, how it's going to be implemented. Another thing I would like to do is, if you guys noticed when I showed you the top fans, how there was a big ass gap because I put 120 millimeters in the top instead of 140s and shit. There's a big gap, and basically that allows dust and shit to just fall right in, or anything to fall right in for that matter. Like a screw could easily fall right in, short out the motherboard. So I'm going to make like a shroud or just something that will cover all these holes that are just open, you know. See how on the top here we have these 120 millimeter fans. They don't take up the whole top. See how you have these huge ass gaps. Even on the ends, there's these big gaps. So what I'm thinking about making is putting something in there that basically covers all that area. Might use cardboard that's black or something like that, and have it taped in there or something. Just something, so just stuff like dust and anything can just fall right down in there, you know? I don't like that. That would be a con of this case. But anyway, guys, enough babbling. I've talked about the fans we chose. Luckily, my brother donated the ones he had. Luckily, I didn't go out and buy them, because if I bought them, I'd probably end up with the Chinese ones, which are not as good. But I was able to get those, plus it cut down my cost. So, like I said, each fan was like $20 a piece, so I'd be spending a couple $100 just on the fans. So that does help the project out. So I showed you guys the fans, talked about them, and how I implemented them. You know, how I implemented them to the case. Be aware of that when you order your Noctuas. You know, check where they're made, you know what I'm saying? See if they're the Chinese or the Taiwan ones. Anyway, guys, I'll see you guys in the next part. Thanks for watching.